Let me tell you guys about the single payout that changed my life. Not the biggest one I have ever taken, not the most recent, the first one. $40,000 from a prop firm after years of struggling on my own. And that one payout shifted everything about how I thought about trading and what was possible for me. 8 years into trading now, over $2 million in payouts across about 1,000 individual withdrawals, but none of those would have happened if that first one had not landed exactly when it did. In this video, I want to walk you through the full story. Where I was before that payout, what I was doing wrong for years that I could not see. The one shift that finally cracked it open. And what the $40,000 actually meant to me, because the money itself was only part of it. I'm making this video because I see a lot of traders right now who are stuck where I was. Not failing, not broke, just spinning around. Making a little, losing a little, trying new things every month, never quite breaking through. If that is you, I want you to hear this story, because I genuinely believe one specific shift is what stands between you and the version of this that happens for you. And it took out too long to figure out what that shift was. Let me walk you through it. Before that payout, I had already been trading for about 2 years. Personal capital, small accounts, my own money. And here's what people get wrong about this stage of the journey. I was not broke. I was not desperate. I was not the trader who blows everything on a single trade and goes negative. I was making money, but just not a lot. Some months I was up, some months I was down. Overall, I was probably break even to slightly positive across that whole period. But the problem was, that is exactly the most dangerous place to be in trading, because nothing forced me to change. If I had blown everything in year one, I would have either quit or completely overhauled my approach. If I had made huge money, I would have leaned into what worked. But I was in this middle zone where I was good enough not to blow up and not good enough to actually build wealth. And I stayed in that zone for years. I would try a new strategy for a few weeks, make a little money, lose a little money, conclude that strategy was decent but not the answer. Then move on to the next one. I tried smart money concept, supply demand, order flow, Fibonacci, trendline trading, pretty much everything you could find on YouTube during that time. And every single one of them was making me a little bit of money, which is what kept me trapped. Because if any of them had clearly failed, I would have abandoned the whole approach and changed. But because they all kind of worked a little, I kept telling myself the next one would be the breakthrough. And this is the part of the journey nobody talks about. The slow, profitable, but not really phase, where you have just enough success to keep going and not enough success to actually break out. I spent 2.5 years there, and looking back, that was the most expensive period of my career, not because of the money I lost, but because of the time I lost. Then somewhere around year 3, something shifted in my head, and it was not a tactical shift, it was a philosophical one. I was reviewing my trading journal one weekend. I had this pattern of writing down every trade and every strategy I was testing, and when I looked at it across all those months, I realized something quite brutal. Every single strategy I had tried had at least a stretch of profitability in it. Every single one. And every single strategy had a stretch of losing in it. And the pattern was always the same. I would start with a strategy, make money for a few weeks, hit a losing streak, decide the strategy was broken, and then switch. I was never on any one strategy long enough to actually find out if it worked. That realization hit me hard, because it meant that I was the problem, not the strategies, not the markets. Me. I was the one who kept moving. The reason I was not making real money was that I kept switching at exactly the moment when staying would have paid off. So I made a decision. I picked one approach, the one that I understood the best, and I committed to running it for a full year without changing it. No matter what, no matter how many losing weeks, no matter how many shiny new things I saw online. One strategy for 12 months, and that was the deal that I made with myself. That decision is what eventually led to that $40,000 payout. Not better skills, not more capital, not magical setup. Just the commitment to actually stay long enough on one thing to find out what it could actually do. And I'm going to be straight with you. The first 6 months of that commitment were boring. There were stretches where I genuinely doubted the decision. But because I had told myself a year, I kept executing. And around month 6 or 7, something started clicking that I had never experienced before. That something was confidence. Real confidence. Not motivational confidence, but earned confidence. For the first time in my career, when I sat down on the chart, I was not asking myself if I was using the right strategy. I was not wondering if there was something better. better. I was not second guessing. I had committed to one thing. So my only job was to execute it. And that mental clarity changed how I traded. The trades were not even that different from before. The setups were similar to things I had taken many times. The difference was internal. I was not flinching anymore. I was not closing early because I was nervous. I was not sizing up because I was greedy. I was just executing the plan. And around month 7, I decided I was ready for a platform challenge. Up to this point, I had been trading my own capital. Small accounts, like I said, making a little, losing a little, but I knew that to make real money, I needed scale. And scale on my own was impossible. I did not have the capital to risk the size needed to make the income that I wanted. And platforms were the answer to that. Now, this was back in the days where platforms just came up, so there weren't many options. But I bought a platform challenge, I passed it, I got funded, and here's the part that I want to be really clear about. I treated that fund account exactly like I had been treating my own. Same strategy, same risk per trade, same execution. The only thing that changed was the size of the account. And that is what most traders get wrong with prop firms. They treat the fund account differently than their personal account. They size up because it is not their money. They take riskier setups because the rules are different. And I did the opposite. I treated it more carefully than my own money because I knew the rules were stricter and the opportunity was bigger. For 3 months, I ran that account, took regular trades, built up the balance, and then I hit the first payout window. $40,000 across one fund account in about 3 months, executing the same boring strategy I had been running for almost a year. $40,000 in a single payout. That number landed in my account and I just sat there staring at it. To put that in context, at that point in my life, that was more than I had ever made in a single month from anything. Job, trading, anything. And it had come from a system I had been ready to abandon a dozen times over the previous year if I had not made the commitment to stick to it. I did not buy anything, I did not celebrate, I did not even tell most people in my life. I took that $40,000 and I put it straight into savings and into more challenges because the math had just become clear to me in a way it never had before. If I could do this once, I could do it again. If I could do it on one account, I could do it on multiple accounts. That money was not the prize. That money was the proof. And once I had the proof, I could build the next chapter. The $40,000 became the foundation for everything that came after. It paid for more challenges. It paid for the runway I needed to keep refining my approach. It paid for the time I needed to scale up without rushing. But here's the thing. The money was not what changed my life. The thing that changed my life was what that payout proved to me. That all those years of struggling, all those moments of thinking maybe I was just not cut out for this, all those losing streaks where I almost gave up, they were just a part of the process I had to walk through. The $40,000 told me that I was capable. And once I knew that I was capable, the question was never if again. It was only when and how much. Now I want to tell you what I would do differently if I could go back. Not because I regret the journey, but because I see traders right now in the same exact spot that I was in for those 2.5 years, and I want you to skip that phase if you can. The thing I would tell my younger self is this: commit to one approach earlier. Not better, not perfect, just one. You do not need a perfect strategy. You need any strategy and the discipline to run it long enough to find out what it does. I was so busy looking for the optimal approach that I never gave any approach a real chance. And the truth is, most reasonable strategies are profitable if you execute them consistently for a long enough time. The variable is not a strategy. The variable is whether you actually stay on it. Second thing I would tell myself, the plateau that you are in right now is not a sign you are doing something wrong. It is a sign you are between phases. Profitable but not really is a real phase that almost every successful trader goes through. The mistake is thinking it means you need to change. Usually it just means you need to commit harder to what is already working. Third thing, get to prop firms faster. Trading personal capital teaches you the basics, but it cannot scale. The moment you have a strategy you can execute consistently, even slightly profitably, start looking at prop firms. The leverage on capital they give you is the difference between making a little and making real money. For me, the path was 3 years of personal capital and then prop firms. If I could go back, I would shrink that to 1 year of personal capital and 3 years of prop firms. The math is just way better. But the single biggest thing, commit to one approach earlier. Everything else flows from that. So, to bring all of this together. That first $40,000 payout was not really about the money. It was about what happened in the months leading up to it. The decision to stop searching, the commitment to one approach, the patience to let it work, the discipline to execute it without changing it. The payout was a result, not a cause. If you are watching this and you are in the profitable but not really zone, making a little, losing a little, trying new things every 3 weeks, I want you to hear this. You are not failing. You are just spinning around. And the only way out of spinning is to stop. Pick one approach, run it for a year, no matter what. The reason most traders never have a payout that changes their life is not because they are not capable. It is because they never give themselves the chance. They quit too early. They switch too often. They search instead of execute. If you stop doing that, if you commit to one thing long enough for it to actually compound, your version of that $40,000 moment is coming. I cannot tell you when, I cannot tell you exactly how, but I can tell you that the pattern has played out for me and for almost every successful trader I have ever met. The breakthrough comes after the commitment, never before. 8 years later, I have had hundreds of payouts, some smaller, some much bigger, but none of them would have happened without that first one. And that first one only happened because I finally stopped looking for a better answer and committed to the one I already had. That is the real lesson from the payout that changed my life. The money was the proof, but the commitment was the cause. And commitment is the one thing nobody can do for you. You have to make that decision yourself. If you do, your moment is coming, probably sooner than you think. Now, if you want proper guidance to actually commit to one approach instead of spinning around, I have a mentorship program called the Profit Blueprint. This is for traders who are ready to do this properly. Link is in the description if you want to apply. And if you are looking for Profit to start that journey on, I recommend Hola Prime. They are the first Profit to get a third-party, real, verified audit to their payout system. They have a zero payout denial policy with payouts processed in under an hour. You can use code NFX for a nice discount or the link in the description. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next one.